Welcome back, guys. In my video tutorial series, it's been a while. I haven't recorded any videos, got really tied up with work. Anyway, today, what I have decided to do is basically I would in this video, if possible, we would like to build a feature like this. This is going to be basically admin portion of the product details, product view, basically a table containing basic table informations. And the other cool feature it will have is like if you click into view detail button right here, so basically you will have a new model window opens up, as you can see in the second figure, which displays the details of the product. Maybe in a real life application you might have a bunch of animated products information, right? The product images and stuff like that. You can really do it, but here I have just a text description of the product, like price and cost, category of the product, etc. And if you want, in your video tutorial, you can put images if you have saved those images into backend database or wherever. Okay, you can definitely expand it. Okay, that is what we're going to build. As you know from my tutorial, I've been writing code in Visual Studio, but to follow this tutorial, you don't really have to use Visual Studio at all. There are so many editors that you can use, whatever your favorite, a lot of open source, and there is open source, editor from Microsoft called Code. You can use that. It has really cool feature. Some of the thing I really like about this one is you can change the theme of this one. You can change the dark theme if you like, or if you would like even be a fancier, you can change to a high contrast theme. But I don't like that one. For me, like I just like this light theme. Okay, so you can use any editor. For example, in my case, I use other editor. Other thing that I use is whatever is open source. This is a bracket. I think from time to time I use bracket, and of course, mainly I love Visual Studio, but you can choose and even sometimes I write code in Node.JS. I mean in a NodeBeans or Eclipse or whatever. So that's the secondary story. It doesn't really matter. So I have my project open into both code editor and in Visual Studio. Okay. So what I have so far is just a view here, the title of the view, and I have just a markup here. Okay. Nothing else. Just a markup and there's some binding. Of course, none of this thing really exists. We will be coding. Okay. Very first thing I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and open that view product. If you go into view, you will see that EJS file view product. This one for the EJS file, this editor doesn't provide any IntelliSense or syntax highlighting. And to be able to see that feature, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this one here, and when I do copy and paste to the view product, create a new file. And I'm going to rename this file EJS, and I'm going to give an extension HTML. That way, I have a two file. One is because I'm using EJS templating engine. It knows that, but it doesn't. If you have HTML extension, it doesn't render. So I'm going to write a code right here into this so that I can explain better, because I have syntax highlighting and everything going on, and if any changes that I made, I of course has to be put into the view product, the EJS markup page. Okay, and I would like to do markup and the controller side by side. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go into public folder, and here's my product. I'm going to create a new controller here called view product controller. So for now, I'm going to do Control C and Control B. Of course, it's created a new one. I'm going to go ahead and change the name. View product. That's what we are building. View product controller. Okay. So now we have Paces JavaScript file view product controller, and similar to create product create controller, but we will be modifying it. My dependency is okay. So the next thing we can there's this cool feature with this IDE. Of course, this tutorial is not about IDE, but I can let me go in. Let's try to open now. This view product EJS file, and then I'm going to come into my while this page is open. If I go into view, and then if I can do something like open to side. Now I have two pages, my controller here, JavaScript file, and my HTML and markup HTML side by side. Okay, so that it will be easier for you guys to understand what's really going on here. Let me give more space to this. Okay, so as you can see, this is a module, data ng app. It's a product module, and here's a view product controller. Of course, it's not going to be it's a view product controller. I'm going to go ahead and change my controller name as a view product controller, and it need all of these, and just go ahead and change this name. Okay, oops. Now we have our controller, and all of this thing, of course, we don't really need it. Just for now, since this is a create product control, I have a bunch of code related to create. I can go ahead and get rid of most of this code here. So I have basic template. I don't need nothing basically, just the empty page. I don't need this one either. And my function, okay, close this here. Okay, now we have a controller and we have our markup. This is just a heading, as this is just the syntax of EJS, as you know. And if I render this page right now, you will see nothing, just the view product and the markup. Let me go ahead and explain the basically. Okay. Now our controller and our markup page are side by side. Now, as you can see now, inside our table, I have this the data entry show. The idea is in here we will have in the scope, in my dollar scope, I'm going to define a products object as an empty array for now. We will fetch the data and populate that guy later. Okay, so we are saying now we can say to our markup, here is my table, and we are using data ng show, ng directive. If there is a product, that's what this code is saying, right? If the product exists, I would like to show all the content inside that table. Otherwise, just hide it, don't show it. Okay. That is, in terms of markup, it's really simple. All I have is a table with the product name, product detail, whether the product is active or not, the cost of the product, the price of the product, and this action header is basically will have a bunch of edit or delete or whatever you want, additional Crud functionality that you would like to provide to your admin. Okay, and after that, in the second row, starting from the second row, we would like to bind our product that's coming in. Of course, we don't have a code, but here we are assuming, we are saying, well, the product will have a property called category name, the name of the product, and the partial description. I will explain to you what the partial description is. The idea about partial description is like sometimes description of the products can be really long, and then we don't have that much real estate in our grid. So we would just show like a partial description and ... and then that's where the view details button, that's where the idea comes in. Okay, and then of course the reason that I have this is very important, because what I have decided to do, if this markup right here, I'm using of course, the Bootstrap modal pop-up window. This one here, this attribute called data target. This so basically saying there later on we'll have a markup with the same ID. So find that ID and then replace that. When the button gets clicked, we would like to show the model window. And that's why we have, well, of course this guy doesn't really exist, but right now we're just going to say, okay, here is a, on click of that button, we would like to call this JavaScript function here and give the product that was currently bound to the markup. That's the view details. And here is a checkbox, very simple. And we're gonna, it will be checked based on the value is 1. That 1 refers to checked active product, 0 means inactive product. And then of course right here, this we will have a property called product cost. This is the dollar amount, so we can use a filter here. This is a filter for the AngularJS. Of course, there are so many video tutorials about Angular 1.0, and of course a lot of people are moving on into 2.0, but 2.0 is totally different the way 2.0 looks. But anyway, first for now, this is just, if you don't know what this one is going on right here, it's just called filter, and the name of the filter is currency. So basically it will display as a dollar amount. Same thing for the product price, okay? And this whole markup right here, starting from line number 67 and ending all the way down here, is basically we will have a drop-down list with a bunch of delete, edit option. That is whole. That is all. That is what we have so far, right? The next thing, of course, now we have a products, but to be able to now what we can do. Very first thing we need to bind our data. To bind, we need to call our service here. We are injecting this service. Now let me expand the service side better. We have a service here. Maybe we can say, let's go ahead and write a method, populate products. Okay, of course this method doesn't exist. Go ahead. We're going to go ahead and create. Okay. So when this method gets invoked, of course we're going to use product service here. Product service, we're going to say call a method in it called get all products. Okay. The get all products, and then on success we will have data coming in, and we'll do binding and stuff. Here we have our scope in products equals to status will contain data. This very simple code. This is all we have to do here. Maybe extra line here. Why it is complaining? Okay. Now, if of course at this point we don't have. I'm gonna go ahead and save everything. Let me check it into Visual Studio. It must have overwritten. And if I go into see right here, even though in Visual Studio I'm writing code in the same directory from the code editor, and it created a view product controller. I'm going to go ahead and include that. And the next thing, let's see, all this thing that I wrote is here. Okay, that is good. And let me look it into my markup view products. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do now, I can go back and forth with either Visual Studio, or I can now go into my service here. Okay, I can close this one markup for now, and I'm going to go into my service. In here, I'm going to define a method that I just use in my controller called get all products. And of course it was looking for comma here. Okay, the get all products should be pretty easy. So basically it should be return. What it should be returning is, of course, I'm going to use this service http and get, and specify the URL API, and let's say get all products. This is our endpoint. Okay, this is the whole thing. Of course, at this point, it should be calling to the server side. Let me go ahead and save it here. Okay, yes, we have a get all products that is defined. Let me look it into Visual Studio, override, yeah, and then product service, yeah. So it basically, I have both editor open, either Visual Studio and code. I'm writing code wherever I like. And maybe this editor is kind of cool, looks really, you can, of course, Visual Studio is really cool, but you can write whichever way you like here. This one is more visible. I can explain to my user better way. So here is my get all products service. Okay, now at this point, what we can do is, of course, now we need to define our now at this point I want to go into the server side. After now we've been writing the code in Angular side of the code. Now we can go into server side here. When I say a server side, that is my convention. I put a server, and then data access object, and here is the product DAO. So we need to so what we need is a method here. Okay, that method knows, even very first thing I need define a method here and call, just write a method called get all product. That's how I have defined our endpoint as, right? So it's the method here. SQL command. Okay, it's not okay. MySQL select command. Remember, right now I'm trying to fetch the data from MySQL database. I'm gonna select. See, in this case, what I have to do is, right, I also need to pull out data, if from the category table and also from the product table. So I have to do I need an inner join between those two tables in MySQL database. And so I'm going to write something like select PC for a product category. I'm going to give an alias for that table. I'm going to say category name. That is the name of my column in the product category table. And then I also, let's see, I don't know, for some reason I might need the ID of that table. I'm going to fetch that information, and you can give alias as a product category ID. And the next column I need is, let's give an alias P for product, and we'll say ID from here and give it alias as a product ID. Okay. And next thing I need is the name of the product. Oops. So, name of the product. And I also need the description. Let me check the spelling here. Name of the product, and also p dot description of the product. And from the product I also like to fetch, oops, I don't want to break some other code. From the product I need to get product cost. And also on the product price, and I want to know when the product was created, so it's going to be created DT. And I also want I got description, created date, and I also want the remember I was telling you about this, the substring thing. Maybe you know your description of the book's really long. You just want certain characters, maybe 200 characters you would like to display in the front page. So maybe then I can do then I can use something called a substring. Come on. So what I can do is I can use a substring function from the MySQL, and the way substring works is basically you're going to give the name of the column, in this case a description of the product description, right? And then you're going to starting index and how many characters you want. Let's say it's for now as 100 characters, and I'm going to give alias this name as an alias partial description. And the next column I need, okay, I want to know whether it's active or not, so we know I'm going from the product table. It has a column called is active. Okay, this is all the column I would like to fetch from those two tables. And the from, and give it an alias name right here called partial description. And sorry for that, guys. Okay, I know like this is really long. I could have done a lot of concatenation, but that would be a little ugly too. I wish they had a JavaScript have a string format, or maybe just a escape syntax. You know, actually the escape syntax is coming on into ECMAScript 6 or 7, so kind of excited about that. But anyway, so I'm gonna face all those columns. And did I select p dot is active? Okay, from product category, remember like we are using alias PC, and then it's going to be really long, and do an inner join with the product table, p on p dot product category ID. Product category ID equals to PC product category.id. and I want maybe the order by p created dt. This is gonna be my script. Oh, hey, this editor figures out that if that I can write a very nice formatted. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. This is, of course, I will have to double make sure this SQL script works. So the code is very simple. Basically, well, I have just inner join with the two tables and fetching the data from there. That way I can just bind it to them. I'm gonna stop this video tutorial today here, but starting from next tutorial we'll be complete writing this. We'll be completing all this method right here, and we'll bind the tables. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the videos and learning the code and learning new IDE and feature. And I really appreciate people watching my videos. Thank you so much guys.